Hello and welcome back to the revival of the Weeball podcast. We had a very long break due to, being off from school, being home, seeing our families, all of that. But we're back. We're gearing up for the playoffs and this upcoming draft cycle. We're excited to be back. Tyler, how are we doing?
It's been way too long. I'm doing good. Finally, we're back doing this. That's the biggest thing. We've got the playoffs, like you said, a bunch of coach firings and new openings that seem pretty exciting because it's a lot of teams with high picks in the draft, and who they go with could potentially, change their future. So, just a lot of things going on specifically in the NFL, and I'm excited to talk about them.
Yeah, I think we might be the only podcast who has their best episode to date and then just stops for a month.
Yeah.
Um, Probably we're just like that though. Like is momentum's not real. Um, but yeah, let's get right into it. We're gonna be doing some playoff predictions and we're gonna be doing coaching carousel later on in the video. So let's hop right in. Tyler, before we get started with our playoff predictions, how do you feel about this playoffs as a whole?
I honestly, I have to say I'm very excited for the playoffs as usual, but it's shocking because the AFC all year we were talking about this dogfight that all the good teams are in the AFC, and we were like, wow, there are like 4 or 5 teams out of the AFC that might make the Super Bowl. And now already in round one, there are two AFC matchups, that being Dolphins Bills and Bengals Ravens, that already seem like they're going to be decided before the game even starts because of quarterback injuries. So like the AFC isn't as exciting at the bottom as it once was, but we still have some cool matchups there. And then the NFC, I mean, these teams, all of them look like they have at least an outside chance to go on a run. It seems like that's going to be the more exciting conference, even though it probably doesn't have the top end talent that the AFC does.
Yeah, I think the Super Bowl winner, 8 times out of 10 comes out of the AFC, but I think the NFC is going to be way more exciting. All of those teams except for probably the Eagles and the Niners, are very momentum run bait. Like if they're going to be hot, they're going to be hot. They're going to go on a run.
Yeah.
Type of teams compared to in the AFC where they're all good teams. They're all just banged up, or have really really bad coaching. Bengals. Um, but it's going to be exciting. My Giants are in it for the first time since the boat picture, and I
Which
don't
I
want to get
believe
too
was the
excited.
same. Was that the same year the Dolphins made the playoffs? Were we? How are both
Was
of our
more?
teams? And
Was that more?
that was Matt Moore.
Yeah,
What
then I think
what's what
so.
playoffs was that? The 16-17
16,
season?
yeah.
Yeah, 16, but like 17 year. Yeah. Then same year, last time both of our teams made the playoffs. So
Listen, I'm just saying the Giants have an elite defense with a quarterback who has been playing his best season of football this year, who's clumsy, who's, kind of, he looks kind of like an idiot.
are you
Um,
really going to compare this man to Eli and
we
compare their
have a wide
situations?
receiver who's coming on very strong at the end of the year, which is how Plaxico's season was. He was very good at the end of the year, just
If
like
this
how
is
Isaiah
talking about
Hodgins.
Kenny Galladay, okay, I was about
No,
to
Isaiah
say,
Hodgins.
I was about to say,
Kenny Galladay is listed as wide receiver 1 on the depth chart right now, which means playoff Kenny has been activated. He's waited all this
playoff
time.
Kenny, bro. He played in Detroit. He doesn't know what the playoffs are.
Exactly. He's been activated. This is what we gave him
Oh,
72 million for. So the Giants are winning the Super Bowl. I don't make the rules.
fair. Okay. I'd like to see it.
It would be the day after my birthday too, so that'd be sick. I'd
Oh,
mess with
then it's
that.
happening. It's perfect.
It's
Okay,
it's
they're winning the
happening.
Super Bowl. All right.
But yeah, let's get into it because people here for the predictions. Let's get to the predictions. Tyler, you're gonna go first, and we're gonna start with your Dolphins and the Bills.
We learned today, as this is being recorded, that Tua will officially not be playing in this game and that it will most likely be Skylar Thompson again, which is the most depressing thing of all time. And as much as I would like to ride with the Dolphins and say that they're going to rally around their 7th-round rookie quarterback and go stun the Bills in Buffalo, I just don't think it's going to work out that way. That team largely played well both times because they had a quarterback who wasn't turning over the football and like was just making a couple throws when necessary. Even though both times their defense played well enough to win the game and our passing is what stalled out at the end, I just don't see how with a downgrade at quarterback we are going to beat Buffalo. So I'm definitely going to take them there.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills. I think we can move on. There's nothing to be said.
Yeah. I
Um,
honestly spoke too much, but
there's nothing to be said. It's this game is already over and hasn't been played. Um, and we're gonna stay in the same conference. We're gonna go Bengals Ravens. Now, I do love Anthony Brown Jr. He's from the Shore Conference. The Shore makes the best athletes. Dirty Jerry's on top. But there's no there's just no shot he's beating the Bengals.
zero. And this is
No.
a team that now 2 years in a row we've seen. I mean, obviously we haven't seen what they've done in the playoffs, but the Bengals are a team now that we've just seen every year they're going to get hot going into this stretch. It seems like that is what Joe Burrow and this team are doing. And I would say Zach Taylor in this team, but we know who the catalyst is. It's Joe Burrow. So I mean, yeah, we're picking the Bengals. Not much to be said there either with no Lamar.
The catalyst isn't Joe Burrow. The catalyst is everyone not named Zach Taylor because Zach Taylor's the worst. Zach Taylor and the owners are the worst part of this franchise. And they can't fire him because he's made the playoffs twice and taken them to a Super Bowl. So they can't fire him. So I'm pretty
of
sure
course
Joe
not.
Burrow's calling plays in the sand. Like he's playing backyard football.
Oh,
Not
for
even
sure. And I'm here for it.
He's doing the time management. Zach Taylor's not calling timeouts. Joe Burrow is. Like it's not Zach Taylor's team, it's Joe Burrow's team.
We already know how much control he has over running like alerts and like, smoke screens and stuff, like how much he can call. So I wouldn't be shocked if when it comes to clutch time, Joe Burrow's actually calling plays. And we have one more matchup in the AFC, probably the only one that could supposedly go either way. Jaguars Chargers. I mean, these two teams both got hot at the right time, are both, now in the playoffs, even though at one point neither of them looked like they were going to make it. And it's a fun matchup. It's the hair matchup. It's Justin Herbert versus Trevor Lawrence. And I have to say, even if it's against my better judgment, I'm picking the Jaguars. The team is too much fun. They're hot right now. Their defense for the first time all year looks to be playing like their best football. It's just, who doesn't want to see this team go win games? They're way too much fun. I'm picking the Jags.
Okay. I think the Jags are going to win, but I'm predicting that the Chargers will because I don't think 2, 3, and 4 will all win.
Yeah, that makes way too much sense. And the other two games are way too far apart. I understand where you're coming from.
But I do think the Jaguars are going to run the ball really well against that horrible Chargers run defense. It's atrocious. Like, it's so bad. And Doug Peterson is not afraid to just hand ETN the ball over and over and over again. So while I think the Jags have a really, really good shot at winning this, I'm going with the Chargers just strictly off of principle.
I understand. Yeah.
We're going to move on to the other side of the bracket. I think I feel like this one's easy in my opinion, and it's the only easy one on this side of the bracket. Niners Seahawks. I'm going with the Niners. Brock Purdy is going to cement himself as the greatest quarterback of all time coming up here.
It sucks because throughout the year I've picked a couple teams that I'm like, I'm going to ride with these guys just because they're a lot of fun. And one of them was the Seahawks because the Geno story was just so cool watching him go back and beat every individual team that, wronged him. And, now he's, playing really good football, Pro Bowl caliber football, as you see, you made it. And I just wanted to see Geno win, but against this team, I just don't see it happening. Like you said, I'm picking the Niners.
All right, we're going to move on to my Giants versus the Vikings. Now, the real comeback player of the year is center Nick Gates, who broke his leg in like 3 places, had 7 surgeries, might have had to lose his leg, and is now playing football just a year later. He's the real comeback player of the year. But I digress. Moving on. Nobody's going to talk about a center as a comeback player of the year, so it doesn't matter, but he deserves it. I think, okay, Leonard Williams, Azeez Ojulari, and Adoree Jackson all hurt. If all of them play, the Giants are winning. If any one of the 3 doesn't play, specifically Adoree, the Giants are going to lose this game. That's just how I feel. I think that's the worrier in me that like we're not good enough unless we're 100%. But
I think you're right though. I think that it's going to take. This is like a dog check moment because we are going to see a team led by, the offensive player of the year in Justin Jefferson. And I just don't know if you guys have the top end talent to either stop that or compete with that. It's either
so my thing is we lost that game, 61-yard field goal without Adoree, without Xavier McKinney, and Leonard Williams didn't play the second half of that game.
Yeah,
We
but
have
something does
McKinney
seem.
back.
I don't know if the margin. This is going to sound stupid. I don't know if the margin of victory for the Vikings is actually showing of how good of a team they are. And I don't think they're a great team or anything, but I think that they are a level above the Giants when it comes to the fact, like, I understand that that was a one-score game, but that's just how they play. I think they're better than their point differential says they are.
Yeah, I mean,
They just win close games. Like, they just
if
play
Richie
close.
James catches that ball on 3rd and 5 where it hits him in the chest and his arms
I
are
remember
out
this,
like
yeah.
this, and he doesn't turn before going like this, the Giants win that game. But he didn't, so we didn't. And then the very next week, Richie James catches a ball like this in the end zone and literally crosses his arms like this and drops to his knees because he's so afraid he's going to drop it. So maybe Richie James doesn't make that crucial mistake in the playoffs. Feels like he's made a lot of crucial mistakes this year, but he's our second or like third best receiver. So I'm fine with it at this point. There's nothing we can do
The fact
about
that
it.
we're even bringing up Richie James in a playoff game is
Richie James, Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton, and Isaiah Hodgins.
it's reminiscent of the 2020 Dolphins where their
That's
number 2
so
receiver
bad.
was like Antonio Callaway for a couple weeks. That's what this is looking
Yeah,
like.
but we're winning games and you're not.
Fair. Very fair.
That's the Dable effect. Brian Dable's coach of the year. Moving on. Cowboys versus Bucks. Who do you got, Tyler?
This is another team I like. I like the Cowboys. They're so much fun this year.
No way. Okay, keep going.
I like Dak a lot. Micah Parsons, like, absolute monster.
I thought you were going to say you like him. I was going to say, hey,
You have to understand that he is a supreme talent, whether you like him or not. But Dak, I'm a big fan. I wasn't early on in his career, but I've grown an appreciation for Dak. But this just seems like the worst possible matchup they could have gotten in the first round. And I'm going to take the Bucks only because I just don't think. I think that Bucks team just owns the Cowboys. Every time they play, it seems like the Bucks win and the Cowboys lose, and the Bucks dominate up front. And Dak usually does not play great games against the Bucks, and I just don't see it. I see it kind of happening again. And also, I think Tom Brady is 7-0 against the Cowboys. I, for some odd reason, don't see him ever losing a game against the Cowboys. It's one of those weird. It's one of those weird record effects that I'm going to go in line with Brady here and pick the Bucks.
I mean, okay, that's fair. I'm going with the Cowboys.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Directly
when
off
it came
principle,
down to picking the bracket, I had to pick the Bucks.
Mostly because I don't want it to end up where the Giants pull off a miracle against the Eagles in the second round or something, and then we have to play Tampa and Tom Brady, and we lose to Tom, because I will be like, oh, it's Tom Brady. We're going to the Super Bowl. I guess this is going to be light. And I just don't want that to happen. So strictly off of like principle, I have to pick the Cowboys.
I totally see I get it. Yeah,
that's just a Giants fan thing of me. All right, let's move on to the next round, the divisional round. We're gonna start. For me, it's Bengals, Bills.
Yeah, same here.
I'm taking the Bills.
I had Bengals, Bills as well, and I'm also taking the Bills. Obviously, I think our other matchup's going to be different, but I think we're probably going to both have the same result.
Yeah,
I have Chiefs, Jaguars. I'm assuming you have Chiefs, Chargers. I'm taking the Chiefs.
I'm taking the Chiefs. I think it's going to be that game's going to be a blowout. Either way either way you spin it, it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, these two teams played earlier in the season, and it honestly was one of Trevor Lawrence's better games. He made some of the craziest throws I've seen all year in that game, and they still lost by, like, I believe, a solid amount. So I'm going with the Chiefs. They're just two different tiers of teams. And going into Kansas City in January or February is like going into the United Center in the 90s. You're running into the buzzsaw. I'm not picking against Mahomes.
All right, man. That was okay. We're going to move on from that. Divisional round on the other side, I have Giants, Eagles. And as badly as I want to take the Giants, I'm not going to. I think it's the Eagles. I think I really got no choice in that.
Yeah, they're just
I
two
think
different. They're two different tiers of teams. I mean, like the NFC.
I just think the Eagles are more complete. I
Yeah,
don't. The Giants, I think, are better coached, call better plays, but you just can't get past their O line
yeah,
for the
agreed.
Eagles. So there's no chance because we're a blitzing team.
Yeah, I agree, and I also had a Eagles matchup, of course, because they were the 1 seed, and I have Eagles Bucks, and like you said, I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah, there's nothing you can say for those two types of teams that they can beat them like in a playoff situation in Philly.
Now I believe I have for my matchup is 49ers Vikings because I
And
picked
I
the
have
Vikings over the Giants.
Niners Cowboys.
And I am taking the 49ers just because I think there's a difference in talent, and I'm not picking against Shanahan going against somebody running that scheme. He knows it inside and out. D'Amico Ryans, obviously, we're going to talk about him later as a head coaching candidate. That dude is a beast as a defensive coordinator. I'm picking the 49ers.
Yeah, no, it's Niners all day and by a lot. And I have Niners Cowboys. I think that's a really cool matchup to like think about, like
And it was really
nostalgia-wise.
fun last year too. They had a fun game
That's
last year
true.
from what I
Forgot
remember.
about that.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, because that last second slide by Dak.
yeah, exactly.
But I think surprisingly enough, without is Debo going to play in the playoffs?
I'm not sure. I would have to look into that. I can do it right now.
I think even without Debo Samuel, that the Niners this year with Brock Purdy are a better team than last year with Jimmy G. So for that reason, I'm gonna go with the Niners, even if Debo doesn't play. But if Debo plays, like it's nowhere close. It's blown out of the water.
He had no injury designation for week 18, so he's going to play in the playoffs.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I'm taking easy. I'm taking the 49ers easily.
Yeah. Now, both of our championship games, I'll start. I have Bills Chiefs. I believe you have the same thing, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have the same for both of them.
Okay, perfect. So, Bills Chiefs, like I said, I understand that the Bills beat them earlier in the year. I'm not picking against Mahomes in the playoffs. I just can't. I can't bring myself to do it. I've compared him to a young Michael Jordan, and I'm going to keep doing so. Chiefs.
Yeah, no, I'm going Bills. Nice little revenge saga going on. I just, I think I trust Josh Allen, and I also think I think Micah Hyde's coming back, which is
That is
huge.
huge. And Poyer's been playing, but he's been playing hurt. There, he's clearly not the same guy. If he gets healthier down the stretch, that's the biggest thing.
I'm going to be honest with you, he can take off this week.
Yeah,
he could take off this week.
Actually, I won't say it only because you don't exactly want the Bills.
Oh, you also don't
safeties against Tyreek and Waddle.
You also don't have safety death because of DeMar, which we forgot to say at the beginning. But praying for DeMar, thoughts and prayers with him.
It's obviously amazing that he is now out of the hospital.
He's home. He's
home, and will most likely, be at that game watching his Bills probably destroy my Dolphins. So good for him. I'm really happy to see that he's back. Back healthy. It's amazing.
Yeah,
to see.
He's insane.
Yeah, and back to the picks. You picked the Chiefs. I picked the Bills. We both have the same NFC Championship game as well.
Yes.
49ers, Eagles. All of the reasons I said before, I have way too much faith in the 49ers just as a team. I think Brock Purdy can play like Jimmy G, and that's all that you have to do in order to. Yeah, and he's been better. And I think that's all you need in this NFC. My problem with the Eagles all year was I believed if you got into a quarterback battle in the playoffs, do I trust Jalen Hurts to win it? And it's actually funny because I don't think that they really, with this path that I've given them, I mean, they have the Bucks, but is that a team I really feel confident in beating the Eagles? I picked the Eagles there. I'm still going to pick the 49ers. However, I just think that team, they're rallying around their guy, and they are playing some of the best football they've played all season late in the year. So,
okay. Over the past, I forget the number, but over the past, I think 5 weeks, the Eagles defense has been one of the worst in the NFL. Darius Slay and James Bradbury have been atrocious. And like again against a Giants team that started Davis Webb, didn't play Saquon, and didn't play Andrew Thomas or Evan Neal for the full game. They had backups in at certain points. They is 16-22. They're playing full starters, the Eagles, for the entire game because they were trying to clutch up the 1 seed and the division.
Yeah, and this is going to sound weird. I don't think they lost. This is going to sound really weird, and I don't really know how to put it. I don't know if they lost enough games as a starting unit with Jalen Hurts at quarterback to understand what they need to fix and go rat. Like, I feel like they're in for a rude awakening because the games that they've lost were primarily ones where they didn't have Jalen Hurts. So, and the one game where they believe, and I mean, a lot of people believe that they were sold by bad calls by the refs. So like I don't think it was a bad call, but I think a lot of people do believe that. I don't think that they've had a loss that they were like, yeah, we've been punched in the mouth. And I just think that if that doesn't happen to you at some point, it's going to happen in the playoffs. Yeah. It's kind of been proven. We saw it with like the Cam Carolina teams and the Brady 2007 team before that. This team is kind of like that in the fact that their only losses were a close divisional game where they probably believed that they were, hosed by a penalty call, and then games where they didn't have their starting quarterback. So it's not exactly stuff that you need to learn from. I'm picking the 49ers.
It's not that I don't trust Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback, especially in that system.
It's not on Hurts. I honestly just don't think the coaching. I think the coaching discrepancy is going to show itself big time.
Yeah, I think Shanahan and DeMarco Ryan are going to complete me. Hey, what's up with that? How come DeMarco Ryans and Mike McDaniel? Like, can't y'all just trade the S over, make it easier for everybody?
D'Amico Ryans, but yeah.
D'Amico. Why did I keep doing that? I've done that like 4 times over various different outlets, but like I've said it in conversation.
I get where
I've
you're coming from,
chats.
But yeah. And
I'm horrible at names.
I think we both agree that it's going to be a coaching discrepancy, which means that we have a rematch in the Super Bowl.
I don't.
Oh, yeah, you picked the Bills. I have a rematch, Chiefs 49ers, and I mean, I think it's time. I think we're gonna ring him again, and I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I just think that there is always a point in the playoffs where a team on a run has to play a team with a better quarterback or a better everything else. And I just think that the Chiefs are the team with that better quarterback. And I think it's finally time that we are going to see Patrick Mahomes put on a show in the Super Bowl. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not. I have the Bills versus the 49ers. So obviously I am not picking the Chiefs. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is a difficult decision. But I'm picking Brock Purdy and the 49ers to win the Super Bowl.
You're picking Mr. Irrelevant over a Josh Allen-led Bills team in the Super Bowl.
I am. And the reason is because
I think Bills fans would give up on their team if that happened. I think they can understand losing to Mahomes, but if they lose to Brock Purdy, dude, you should have seen what happened when they lost to Tua. Imagine that times 15.
No, this is okay. Let me explain. I think that Shanahan has lost enough games against teams, not just the Chiefs, but against really good teams in the last few years, whether it's the regular season, the playoffs.
He is due. He is so due.
He's so due. He wasn't head coach, but Falcons, when they lost that game versus Tom Brady and the Pats, then he lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. I think, right?
Who'd they lose? Yeah, to the Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs.
Who'd they lose to last year? The Rams?
Yeah. In heartbreaking fashion.
Who was
on
also
the last play.
Which was also another team with like one of the hottest like quarterbacks in football at the time. Stafford was playing out of his mind. So like
and a great head coach. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Lost to Belichick, Reed, and McVay in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now it's McDermott. I don't think a fourth one gets by him. I think he's taking it. George Kittle said he will be back there. I think George Kittle's going to win Super Bowl MVP. Book it, folks.
Oh, if that happens, that's too much fun, man.
Book it.
Especially if you got a healthy Bills secondary back for that, and you've got Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer trying to fend off George Kittle over the middle. I can't understand. That would be such a fun matchup. because it is really what we're talking about. It's the like I was saying, it's the superhero at quarterback, and then it's everything else. And the 49ers are everything else. And I mean, Josh Allen is playing the best football of the season. We saw how he was playing late in that game against the Patriots. Those were some of the craziest throws any quarterback has ever made, and we're seeing them week in and week out from Josh Allen. So, I mean, if they get there, it'll be fun, and it will complete. It would complete. Obviously, you're not going to have it. You're not having it do so, but it would be the completion of this, Damar Hamlin storyline. But you're having it end early.
Yeah. Don't. Why would you do that? Now I look like a bad guy. No, I'm playing.
I had to throw you under the bus a little bit.
Yeah.
I got to make you feel bad about not picking the Chiefs.
I personally, like, as we've said, it's everything else versus superstar quarterback. But I think the weight of the Bills' everything else versus a quarterback in a system where he can do no harm unless he, like, forces a mistake. There's more opportunity for mistakes on the Bills' side of the whole team than just Brock Purdy messing up. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it depends on how close the game is and if San Francisco can keep, because if San Francisco has to come from behind, I have no faith in them to do so.
No.
But if they can control that game and keep it, within 7 or within like some sort of scoring range where they can just run the ball and like have Brock Purdy just make timely play action passes like their offense is designed to do, then I totally understand how they could win that game. That's
it. We're going to move on. I mean, we have our Super Bowl champions in our minds. We'll see if we're right. We're probably going to be completely wrong, and it's going to be the Eagles who win it, or the Bills. Yeah. But, that's what predictions are all about. We're not bookies. We're not – I mean, even actual analysts stink. So what do you expect from us? Moving on, we're going to do our little coaching carousel pick 'em. So we are going to go through the Panthers, Cardinals, Colts, Broncos, Texans. Those are the current head coach openings. We're only doing head coaches, not doing GMs, coordinators, because all that stuff's
I'm not picking a new Dolphins DC when Josh Boyer gets fired this Monday. But
yeah, like, is it worth it? No.
We also it's so many guys that are available for those jobs because it's not only defensive assistants on your own team, it's like 10 defensive assistants on every single team in the NFL
and college defensive coordinators.
And guys who
there's too much. I'm not doing it, and we're only doing like the top 7 head coaching candidates. For these 5 spots, so we're gonna end up with 2 people who don't have a job. But we're going to start off
to be how it is every cycle. We've seen it with like Eric Bieniemy, other guys who just end up not getting jobs. I don't even think he gets
looks this year.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I haven't heard anything about him getting interviews. Who are we starting with?
We are going to start with the Panthers.
Okay. Are you going first? I'll go first. Okay.
Go first.
I am going to go with I think this is an interesting pick here. I'm going to go with I think I'm going to take – oh, man, this is actually very interesting because there are 2 teams on here that I very much like the idea of them going to get a certain guy. I'm going to say that the Panthers go with Steichen, the Eagles' offensive coordinator, and I think that if they don't trade up in the draft to go get like a Bryce Young type guy, I think that that's the perfect scenario where you have him. And then if Anthony Richardson falls to, I believe they're picking 7th, then you have, your guy. Well, yeah, I'm just saying
he will.
If there is no quarterback panic and like we expect, he falls to 7, you're in a scenario where now you have like a project that you can work on at quarterback who can play a lot of and do a lot of the things that Jalen Hurts does. Anthony Richardson would be one of the biggest quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's the kind of guy you're going to need if you're going to have him power running like you have Jalen Hurts doing.
All right, so for the Panthers, this is going to be a little interesting, and you got to hang with me here a little bit, just a little bit. It's not going to be too much, but you got to hang with me. I'm going Jonathan Gannon, which is the Eagles' DC. Mike LaFleur was just fired by the Jets. If you put Jonathan Gannon with that defense, that's a really, really good defense.
It's a great defense.
Then you take Mike LaFleur and you put him you trade up, you go get Bryce Young, or you get CJ Stroud. You get one of the 2. Personally, I think Bryce Young would be the better fit in that system. That's just me.
I agree.
Bryce Young with Mike LaFleur in that offense, great fit in my mind. You take a running back later on in the draft. I don't see why they can't start winning some games in that weak division. I'm just saying.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, I honestly really like that fit for. I just think that that's a great fit, especially if you're going to go get Bryce Young. I think that offense is kind of perfect for him because I don't think it's a Russell Wilson situation where he won't throw over the middle. I think he just needs confidence in his guys over the middle and, more manufactured pockets, which is what that Mike LaFleur, Shanahan tree can create for him. I'm honestly going to go with the same thing, but on a different team. So,
okay, well, a little spoiler. Let's go Cardinals. This is an interesting one because they already have a quarterback. So you probably don't want to go with an offensive mind here unless you're going to trade Kyler, in my mind.
And they're already trading DeAndre Hopkins potentially. So how far? I mean, we don't know the validity of that, but if they are going to, how far are they going to be willing to go in this rebuild direction? I don't suggest very far. And there's one guy to me that sticks out here. As much as I would think that he might go elsewhere, Dan Quinn makes a weird amount of sense here.
Okay. I
don't
hate
know
it.
if you're going to go defensive. This honestly, if I had to pick, I would say that the Broncos are not probably going to pick any of the guys we have, or not the Broncos. The Cardinals are going to pick any of the guys on this list.
I don't think so either.
I think they're going to go outside higher. But if I'm picking from this list that we have in front of us of, I believe, 7 coaches, yes, Dan Quinn seems to make the most sense in my eyes.
I don't hate that. I really don't know who I think they're going to hire. I kind of want to take an outside shot here, but I don't know how confident I am in it.
Do it. Go for it.
It's not really an outside shot. We just don't have him listed. What about Raheem Morris?
That makes exponentially more sense than Dan Quinn, in my opinion.
I mean, he's the Rams defensive
DC, yeah. And then he can also bring in if they want to like really revamp the leadership there, I wonder if you could get a guy from LA, like one of their assistants, to come in, and I don't know who they have taking over that GM spot because I know Keim is stepping down for his health. You could totally do like a Rams system there. You could bring in Morris, you can bring in a Rams GM guy, and bring in I forgot his name, Thomas Brown, who got head coaching interviews last year, but might have to leave if McVay retires and was like supposedly one of McVay's right-hand guys. I know he got head coaching interviews last year, and a lot of guys supposedly see him as like a Mike Tomlin-esque guy. So you could potentially do like not a dual head coaching thing, but have a right-hand man like that. I think it could work really well, especially giving Kyler like a legitimate leadership pillar rather than.
And if you don't want to stay with Kyler, you have 2 guys who are legit leaders. Like that's what they're sold as. Like obviously,
exactly.
Raheem Morris is also a great defensive mind, but he's sold as a leader more than anything.
Exactly.
You put those 2 guys with a young quarterback. Let's just throw a name out. What about Will Levis in that system? Huh?
I don't hate the idea. I think it fits. It's another Shanahan disciple system. I mean, and that's what Will Levis has already played in. Of course, it's a more pass heavy version of that, but I mean,
which I don't think they would be opposed to.
And I also don't think Kyler is necessarily going anywhere, but that's just an idea if he were
but
to.
What if
I
he
honestly
does?
really like it. I'm not going to change my answer because, I picked Dan Quinn. I'll ride with it, but I like that answer a lot.
But what if, Lamar leaves the Ravens? The Ravens don't want to go into rebuild, obviously.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with your pick as well, and I'm going to send Dan Quinn elsewhere because I see potential here. I see a lot of potential. I see a lot of potential with Dan Quinn on honestly the next team on our list. There's a connection there, I think.
Stop it. I know. Okay, let's move on to that. Sorry,
I'll think about it. I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'll get back to you on that. But I honestly, if we were gonna pick one of our possibilities, I think you had a very good one there.
I think I really like that. I don't know if they're even interviewing him. I haven't heard anything about it, but I really like that, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But what if I I don't think the Ravens are going to want to rebuild. They probably need a running
Cardinals?
quarterback. Nope, I'm talking.
Oh,
Wait
the
for this.
literal Ravens.
I don't think the Ravens are going to want to rebuild. They're going to need a running quarterback. I don't think they're going to want to draft one. At least I don't think Harbaugh is going to be down for that.
Oh,
Slide Kyler out of the Cardinals organization. You send him to the Ravens for
do you
another
send?
first round pick.
Does Lamar just leave, or does Lamar end up in Arizona?
Lamar walks away.
Lamar walks, and then you expel. I wonder how receptive Cardinals' new head coach, as we're saying, Raheem Morris, would be to a little bit of a swap. But I mean, Lamar probably would be receptive to it.
No,
but I
I
just
don't
know.
think.
I don't know
think
how
Lamar needs to
likely.
come back.
I don't know how likely it is though that the Ravens go lose a quarterback and then expel a ton of resources on another one.
Well, I mean, they could trade him to Detroit, or they could trade him.
That's true, and then reroute those picks elsewhere. Yeah.
You give. Let's say Detroit gives you what they have. They have
They're 2 firsts this year, 3 a third first next year, and then
Yeah.
like some draft filler.
Yeah.
Like some other filler.
And then you send 2 of those 3 first rounders and like a 5th for Kyler.
Yeah, and then that new team, then the Ravens have a quarterback, and the Cardinals now have
3 firsts.
A lot of firsts, and one of them is what, the 3rd overall pick?
Yeah.
Meaning you're going to have your choice of everybody probably outside of Young and Stroud.
Unless
which perfectly places Will Levis, though.
It does perfectly place Will Levis, but it also, if the Bears stay, which I don't think they will, they take Will Anderson, then Bryce goes. You end up with CJ Stroud in that system, and I'm not opposed to that.
There's a lot of quarterbacks that, like, in this draft that you feel really comfortable with operating a Shanahan-esque system, which is funny because already half the league pretty much runs it, and it's going to be the entire league in like 10 years. So
yeah,
the more quarterbacks running it, the better. Next up, we have the Colts, and I'm thinking about a lot of things here. I was thinking about what I brought up before was a potential. I don't know if there are roots here, but I was going to say Dan Quinn brings Darrell Bevel over from Miami and does some a Bryce Young thing. But I'm going to say a different team. I'm going to say a different coach, but the same idea. I'm going to go with what you said with the Gannon bringing in a Shanahan-esque guy like Mike LaFleur. Those two pairing up, or potentially D'Amico Ryans, one of those 2 defensive coaches. D'Amico Ryans makes more sense for the Colts here, in my opinion. I'm going to pick him. He brings along with him a Shanahan guy because it's not that hard because you can just, take him away from the system he's coming away from. And they go trade up to number 1, go get Bryce Young. What are they, the 4th pick right now? So it wouldn't be that big of a trade. The Bears can, stockpile assets, and they can go get Bryce Young and have him operate in the Shanahan offense. That's what I'm picking, D'Amico Ryans.
So I'm picking D'Amico Ryans as well. I'm saying he's going to bring in Mike LaFleur because they do have a connection because of San Fran, because LaFleur was.
So LaFleur's going to 2 different teams here.
Oh, I forgot I already put LaFleur somewhere.
Yeah, you put him with Jonathan Gannon and the Panthers.
All right, Wes Welker's going to be the OC of the Colts.
He's not leaving Miami.
Wes Welker's the OC of the Colts. Problem solved. Nah, but like one of those guys.
They have so many of them. Let's be real.
So many options.
Just pick me up to be the OC. I'll run the system, please. I'll do it.
All right. Moving on from that. I got the 49ers offensive manual in my backpack right now.
You're not the only one, buddy.
Didn't I tell you to buy it?
I bought it before you, buddy. Don't even.
You did?
I did.
I told someone to buy it. Maybe I told one of my other friends to buy it after you told me to buy it. All right, moving on. No one needs to know about that.
Okay, we got the Broncos, and
this is so ugly.
Of the list, they're gonna try to swing for the fences. They have way too much money. They're probably gonna be willing to get rid of that 1st round pick if it means sending it for a head coach. And what 1st round pick do you have to go send for a head coach to hire them? Sean Payton.
Dude,
it's so disgusting. It's going to be gnarly, just gross. But
isn't gnarly a good thing?
It's both, but it's going to be disgusting. Sean Payton, Russell Wilson. It could be fun, but they're going to swing for the fences because they physically can't rebuild, because if they trade Russell Wilson, even if any team would even logically take that, they instantly get like $102 million in dead cap and won't be able to field a roster. So, yeah, Sean Payton. Are we both picking that?
I'm picking Dan Quinn.
Oh, okay.
I don't have Dan Quinn anyway.
I think that's the smarter decision.
But I just think it's more realistic. I don't think Sean Payton comes out this year. I think he comes out next year.
Yeah, okay. That's not bad. And then our last one is the Texans, which went from being an interesting job to many to now nobody wants to take it, because they just had 2 head coaches that they fired back-to-back years for essentially executing tanks with one of the worst rosters in the NFL, and they didn't even do it right because they don't have the number 1 pick. So who is going to what?
They don't have the number 1 pick twice.
Yeah, exactly. Both times they failed it.
It's just bad at tanking.
I don't know who's going to want to go there. I mean, I wonder if the Broncos DC Avero is the pick here. I actually don't remember which guy I have left. I believe it's Gannon. And honestly, that makes a decent amount of sense. If you could kind of work with Stingley a little bit, I guess would be like a fun piece with that. The thing about the Texans
is you hire a head coach to work with your first round.
I'm just thinking of the only guy on the team that might be there in 2 years.
Okay, fair enough.
Whole team, that's a very moldable team. I'm just thinking of the only guy that Gannon might be excited to work with, which is probably Stingley, because there's just not enough talent on that roster that you believe in a lot of those guys to go lead you to a playoff win. I'll pick Gannon. He turns Derek Stingley into the next Darius Slay, and then
Darius has been really bad the last 4 weeks, but okay.
Okay, fine. Like Darius Slay of the first 12 weeks or whatever.
There you go. Or all of last year. I'm going to go with Shane Steichen or whatever his name is.
Fair.
Which is the Eagles' OC. I think they go offensive mind. I think they draft a quarterback. You sit put at 2. You pick.
Let's be real. I think both of us still believe that there's a weird chance in the bottom of our heart that they end up hiring Josh McCown. And neither of us want that, but
I don't think it'll happen. I think they've moved past it. I think they've matured as an organization.
I also think that was an Easterby guy, and he is clearly
that's how they've matured as an organization. Is they fired that loser.
Wow. But
he's a clown. Have you ever listened to one of Jack Easterby's sermons?
No.
That he gave at a mega church?
I did listen to. I listened to him manipulating Bill O'Brien and sending us 2 first-round picks for Laramie Tunsil. So crazy. I'm fine with it. Even though we wasted all of those picks, not the point. Actually, the one that turned into Jalen Waddle. But besides that, I think that's about it. Those are the 5 head coaching openings. We also, went through the playoffs. You obviously had the 49ers winning. I got the Chiefs. And I think we honestly did pretty well there with these coaching hires. There are guys who are going to rise up that neither of us know of right now.
Jim Caldwell, head coach of the Texans.
I want Jim Caldwell to get a job, please, at some point.
I love Jim Caldwell.
Because the dude gets interviewed every year and gets passed up for like every job. And I'm like, why does he keep taking these knowing that he won't get the job?
Mike Kafka going to the Texans, and then we hire Pep.
Is Pep in? Where's Pep right now? Houston?
He's in Houston. We'll just take
swap.
Him.
Yeah,
make a trade.
You can trade.
I'm so okay with that. I'm so okay.
You can. They'll send Pep and a 5th round pick for Mike Kafka.
Mike Kafka's not good. I don't know why people are interviewing him.
Because he's a Chiefs disciple.
That's going to be it for us, folks. Thank you so much. The return has been completed, but we do just have a quick announcement for you all. Tyler and I are going to be heading down to Mobile, Alabama for the Reese's Senior Bowl. Shout out to Jim Nagy for that. But there's going to be a lot of content coming. We're going to be, staying at a house, live streams every night on YouTube and Twitter. Then we're going to be going live on TikTok. So make sure to follow the Weeball Podcast on TikTok and follow Tyler on TikTok to be talking about the day more in depth. Follow us on Twitter for live video updates from practice. And, thank you guys for the support. Join the Chalkboard Link is in the description in our
quickly,
bios.
just so you know, those dates will be, I believe, January 30th through February 3rd. Those are the dates of Senior Bowl practices. So that will be when we will be delivering the live content, TikToks, videos, live. Like I said, everything you're looking for. Those are the dates. Mark them down on your calendar. That's when everything's coming.
Get there early, get in, start talking to us in the chalkboard. Maybe you can ask us, for some specific videos and we'll do our best. But that's going to be it. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, give us 5 stars, whatever platform you listen to it on, whatever you want to do. You don't even have to leave 5 stars. Whatever you say it with your chest. Signing off for the We Ball podcast. I'm Luke Krumich. This is Tyler DeSena. Peace.